Hello, I'm Sinead, and welcome. This week I had several projects come together and come to this point where I'm ready to share the progress with you. I also want to work a little bit more on painting the fairy house, and I'll share the progress that has been made on that as well. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what's going on. Well, as you can see here, that dress that I found, I finished. So we've got that all finished up. And as I worked on it, I realized that the thing that was bothering me was the extra thicknesses over here and trying to French seam that with this thicker fabric. So I chose to finish it in a completely different way. I used seam binding on that part and did not French seam the sleeves, but finished the French seam on the side and added the bow and the collar, and we're all ready for this body to get finished, which is another thing that finally came together. So what I ended up doing, this is for the Kessner head, is that I ended up using my own doll designs that I've been working with, and the information that I got on how to do the upper part for the head to sit in here. And so it's a combination of the historical pattern and my own button jointed pieces. And this is this week is when I had it all together, and I just kept looking at it going, it's not quite right. The shoulders were too broad for the bottom, and I finally took it apart and changed out this piece right here this week. So it was more to my liking. Anyway, she's got arms started. The lower arms will be paper clay, and the legs will also be paper clay, and they're both started. And we'll fit those in there so that they can go in, and there'll be a pin that'll go through and allow them to move and be jointed. I also sanded and drilled this doll in preparation. She is now ready for paint. We've got all our arms and legs. Initially, I kind of messed up on the legs, and I had them drilled wrong, and I had to patch it and then go back and drill them again. So that's one of the things I love about paper clay, is that I can go back and make a mistake and go back and I just patch it with the paper clay, try and get, as much paper clay into the hole that you don't want, let it dry completely, and re-drill it. It's really forgiving that way. And on the painting front, this is how it turned out after I added a little bit of water. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And the combination on the colors over here didn't do any of the things I expected. It just kind of either stayed dark or washed away entirely, like right there. I also got the window box front that you would apply on there after you've added a piece of cardboard, or actually you don't have to, it's up to you. So I've got this part done as well, and a window finished. So I think that's not everything I've done this week, but it's the majority of it. So now I'm going to set up for working on the side of the fairy house. I've laid the window on here just so that I can get an idea of where approximately how much space it takes up, because I want to work around that possibility. I'm also drawing over the top of the stones and hoping that it will cover the stones, like it's in front of it, and not be too horribly obvious that the stone's peeking through. So in addition to the things that kind of came together, The other thing that was really kind of important to work on today, or this week, was the sheep. It was ready. I sanded it and got it pretty much all ready for paint. And then yesterday there was just so much executive dysfunction going on. It was unbelievable. I went out and planted all kinds of flowers and a currant bush that my youngest had brought home, rather than taking care of the painting. And it's not like like I had to do it, and it's not like the other stuff didn't need to be done, but it was that thing that I wanted to get done. Anyway, sometimes I just am struggling with the whole thing so hardcore that I will go and do something else instead. I'm not sure about these points here. I know it always works out in the end, but right now it looks weird. And these will go and do something on the front of the house. Oh, I think I want to switch here for a minute. Let's get a slightly different brown in here. Well, that is not actually that different. Okay. Also this week, or a couple days ago, I don't know, I walk into the studio here and I am looking at the floor. The sun's coming in the window, which I get sun breaks, and there's a spider on the floor, like sunning itself, and I'm like, that does not look like a friendly spider. That looks like the kind of spider that will bite you, and you won't like it. So I grabbed this glass that I keep in the room because I do live in the woods, and oh my gosh, we have a ton of spiders. And I grabbed the glass, and the spider hasn't moved, which is kind of unusual for it to just stay there right in the middle of the pathway. And I clap the glass over it and get a piece of cardboard, get it ready for transport to outside, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, that's probably the type of spider that bit me just recently. Yeah, not a good spider to keep in, because they bite you when you're asleep. So I put him outside. Told him off for biting my toe. Which is silly. But as always, you see those guys and you're just like, you gotta go. I don't wish you harm, but you need to go outside. And it looks like this is the brown I was looking for when I started, but I picked up the other one. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the camera and work on this a little bit without the camera running, and so that you can see more progress. So as you can see, I've made just a bit further along on the tree or vine. This, I keep picturing it as a wisteria, but without flowers on it, it's not. I don't feel like it's identifiable. So I could change my mind and it could be something else. But anyway, I've finished pretty much the trunk here. And you'll see that it goes beyond the edge. And that's because when you put the house together, there's this space that the corrugated cardboard creates. So for the painted version, I want that to go around and cover that. So there'll be a blank version included. So like the one that can be decorated, the exterior will be included so that you can choose to use that as what you're cutting your corrugated out with, if that makes sense. And then after you've got that assembled, you cut out the ones that have been painted, and they will go all the way to the edges that were before not. You would have, if you were decorating your own, you would have decorated it in another way. So right now we're just kind of covering the rocks in a bit of lichen, moss, and whatnot, to really reflect the wetness, the environment from where I live. This is very much the norm. There is moss, lichen, all kinds of moisture-loving plants that I can't even identify. The sheep that I was supposed to be working on, that I was avoiding by going out and planting things. Like I told you, I often plant things by seed, with seed, and it just doesn't come up. And so this is like my, I don't know, 4th try at getting clover to grow. And so we'll see. It could be that the birds are just way too voracious on the consumption of the seeds, that they just say, oh, look, these are delicious. Thanks for putting out candy. And that could be what's going on, and why I can't grow. I haven't had hardly any luck with the clover. There's been well, I keep buying red clover, or crimson clover is what it's supposed to be. When I lived in Port Townsend, I bought some that was just marked red clover, and it came out crimson, and it was awesome. I planted it in the part of the yard that was not doing all that great, and it came right up that time, and then spread to the rest of the neighborhood, and it was fun watching it pop up everywhere, just in everybody's yard. And I would have people stop and pick the clover in my yard. They didn't. Occasionally they would ask, but most of the time they just stop and pick the clover, and I don't mind, that kind of thing. Not really. It was absolutely gorgeous. So I've been searching for, a red clover ever since, and I bought, and red clover is usually purple. That's what color the flowers come up. I have the same drip pattern going there. They come up this purple shade, and I had some clover come up that shade, but I don't remember planting it where it came up. So either it's not the clover I planted, just volunteered from someplace else, or there was, seeds got transferred. I don't know how the birds and the chipmunks move things like that, but they do. And that has been the only clover that has come up. I spread it all over the place and didn't see anywhere I spread it at all. And then I did come back inside, and I did do I finally right about the time it was time to feed the dog, I finally got started painting. But I didn't manage to record any of it, so we'll have to see if I can record the next step. But I got the first coat on, and I'm using milk paint, which is, it's been a while since I've used it, but it's really easy. It comes in a powder form, and it's no VOC, so unlike the acrylic paint, I don't have to worry about whether or not the manufacturer has put something interesting in there. I've gotten some acrylic paints lately that were just awful for me. They just had something extra in them, and I was like, what? They're probably trying for a more flexible paint or something like that, and it just messes me up, so I can't use it. And I wish I could remember all the brands that do that to me, and then I could just avoid them, but then I have a hard time with that. So I decided to go back to milk paint, and it's been years, and I don't know, it was just causing me to have that executive dysfunction of, but it's been so long, I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm afraid of it. Conversation without actually having the conversation. Anyway, so so I finally did sit down and get started on it, and it's just like, I love this paint. Why do I put it down and not use it? I don't know. So that'll be a thing that the sheep will be done in milk paint. Granny's going to be done in milk paint. The milk paint I have requires a porous surface, so there are milk paints that will go on a non-porous surface, and I don't know what they do to it to make it work that way. But milk paint is historically the paint that you find in, like the houses that were built in 1650 or whatever, that on the East Coast, that they are painted with milk paint, and the furniture is often painted with milk paint. And it's, like I said, you just add water to this powder that has probably powdered milk in it. I kind of thought it was interesting that one of them was marked organic, and I'm like, you're using organic milk in this? That seems a little weird. I'm not sure what they meant by it, but it wasn't certified, so I don't know. Anyway, that's how we're going along. And I'll add some other colors to that moss as well. We're going to get some yellow in there and whatnot. But we're going to stop for now. I hope you enjoyed our time together and the little bit of chatting that we've done. And I hope you're looking forward to the fairy house painting being completed. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.